You weren't such a rookie now. It's your second startup.
Sort
How
of.
does it go?
Not so good. I'm going to be diplomatic because let's just say that
Well, you're Canadian,
I'm
so
Canadian,
being diplomatic is usually
yeah.
the way to go.
So
So you want to start with, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, there's two things. One is that yes, I'm sorry that I went to work for them, but no, I didn't see eye to eye philosophically with the CEO.
Okay.
He wanted to build up the technology platform and spent a lot of money on that, and I really wanted to drive marketing and sales. And we had a difference of opinion. The other thing too is I wasn't ready.
What do you mean you weren't ready?
Well, I was a reporter. Like, despite the fact that I'd done a startup before.
So what does it mean to be a reporter? You mean you show up at 8 a.m., you leave at 4, you work 5 days a week? What do you mean be a reporter?
Well, I knew how to write. I knew what a story was. I knew how to write a story. I knew how to interview people.
Maybe you could teach me.
Yeah. Okay.
Could use a little help.
And that's what my skill was. But to be a startup executive is a completely different skill set. It's great that you know how to communicate and write, but it doesn't help you structure a business, to operate a business, to make the right business decisions.
So did you feel you lacked the business acumen to?
In hindsight, yeah. In hindsight, absolutely. I found myself in situations where I was in over my head. I knew that I had the right things in mind. I just couldn't figure out how to structure them properly and how to articulate them in a way that business people do. And so after 9 months, I got traded by the VC to another startup called.
So that's something that people don't actually realize. People at one startup funded by one venture capitalist
Right.
can be traded. It's not so formal like in baseball, but there's more fluidity behind the scenes than often people wonder.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, it's not as simple as sort of walking in one day and we want Mark and off you go to the office across the street. It was a little more complicated than that. And but I think Rick Siegel knew I was in a situation where it was really untenable, but he didn't want me to sort of be out in the street. He knew that
Yeah, you can have two great assets that just aren't on the same page.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with either one of them.
No, and he wanted to leverage me, and there was an opportunity at another company, and it all worked out.
So 9 months into B5 Media, your second go, you leave for Planet I.
Right.
And how was that? Was that the third time the charm?
So that was a great experience. Planet I, the business, which it did online travel planning. It was technology that came out of Microsoft, and Rick Siegel had seen the technology, got very excited about it, and it was all about putting data on maps. And today we look at Google Maps and think, well, data on maps, no big deal, right?
Makes sense, yeah.
At the time, it was a big deal, and it was pretty interesting technology. The business didn't go anywhere because the online travel business is extremely competitive, and we just couldn't capture enough users to get any business traction. That was the downside. The upside was I worked with the CEO, Butch Langlois, who was really super transparent in terms of how he ran the business. So how he hired, how he fired, how he financed, how he made partnership decisions.
Was this the missing business acumen that you wanted? Was this the sort of, I
Right.
was uncomfortable in the second gig, I wanted more business, now transparently the CEO will share this?
So this was kind of like going to business, like getting your MBA and specializing in startup entrepreneurship.
Which was really good at Ryerson University.
It is really good. I wish I had gone to Ryerson beforehand, actually.
I'm also a graduate of Carleton, and I also wish I went to Ryerson before.
So it was super educational, and that was what took me from being a reporter who worked for startups into a person who actually was a startup executive and actually got some real experience about how to run a startup.